If you are looking for information about the crisscross FPV drone frames, then you have come to the right place. It is the first video in a series in which I will discuss the ideas and the process of creating our frames, their characteristics and their features. And even if you have been following for our brand for a long time, you will still learn many new and exciting things. My name is Maxim and I am the man behind the Crisscross FPV brand. Let's go! In this video I want to talk about the biggest frame of our FPV line so far, and I would like to highlight FPV because our brand not only producing the FPV products, but also can develop, produce and test any kind of custom flying platforms, and we have experience with even bigger frames than this one. But let's get back to talking about this particular frame. So what is the chief? What is the idea behind? So the idea for the frame dates back to when drone flights were possible anywhere and their size was not restricted in any way. So some pilots wanted to try something big and more exciting. That's how XCLASS drone racing was born. Almost all XCLASS frames have a similar designs. It is a 4 arms, commonly round tubes made from carbon fiber, and they are fixed between the core of the 2 horizontal carbon fiber plates. The electronics are either hidden inside of the case or placed on the outside, and the batteries take up space outside under the bottom plate, and sometimes they can be mounted on the top. This specific layout has this disadvantage, namely the heaviest part, the batteries, take up space at a distance from the center of the structure, leading to the shift of the center of gravity, and because of that, an increase of inertia when maneuvering, making the frame a little bit less responsive and agile. Generally speaking, the idea of placing the center of mass closer to the geometric center was not new to our brand, and we have already successfully tested it in the smaller frames. Therefore, the repetition of the previously tested solution but in a new, larger format seemed exciting and worth trying to design and develop. I'm holding the Chief 4th generation in my hands. We have the 1st generation back in 2018. The design and the construction of the first version were radical and had several innovations that no one have implemented before. The unique thing about the design was the beam mounting, arms mounting. They were not attached between the 2 plates, but were fixed on a structure of crossed horizontal and vertical plates, like that. Honestly speaking, it was a unique but controversial and a tested solution. But that's what our brand is all about. We always try to do something new, bring into life something that no one has ever done before. The original construction turned out to be sturdy, and the frame could support my weight of my body. But because of the complexity, it required a high degree of precision in the production of the parts. The parts have to fit together tightly to ensure a secure and a rigid connection. But the carbon reinforced fiber plastics parts don't have high precision by default, and specifically the thickness tolerance can vary. And because of that, this design had to be abandoned. The current design uses a time-proven design in which the beams are attached between the 2 main plates, but the batteries, as before, are located inside, close to the geometric center, They are attached to the main plate and to the bottom board, and later inserted from below into a large hole into the secondary plate. Another difference from other similar frames is a multi-leveled canopy. The canopy is not just an element of overall design of the frame. It like all other parts also performs technical tasks. For instance, the power section is on the main board, while the flight controller, transmitter, receiver, and other electronics are on the floor above. This separation protects sensitive electronics against the electromagnetic interference from the high frequency pulses from high current motor controllers. Also, separating electronics can save some of your components from fires, which, although rare, can occur after breakdowns during the flight and the following them crashes. We have discussed the main differences of the chief frame, but let's now look at some of the frame's more minor but not less essential features. Here you see the main board with the power components located, the power distribution board and the motor controllers. This frame was developed and designed specifically for APT products, and this is done intentionally because of their products' high quality and reliability. We believe that when building X-Class racing drones, there should be no compromise and only well-proven components should be used. All elements, frame, electronics, motors and batteries must be matched to the same level. Otherwise, by our opinion, it may be a waste of your time and money. So APD electronics, specifically speed controllers, are excellent products, but they still have one drawback. Namely, ESC has no holes, therefore additional brackets or other fastening methods are required for their installation. Therefore, we have provided special cutouts in the board for their installation. 3D printed casing protects each controller from accidental contact with the surface of the plate. The power distribution board also is protected with the behind the bottom and a little bit on the sides from the contact with the carbon fiber. Some pilots have asked me questions about solder points and the wires that can touch the carbon plate. Therefore, I want to know one more important thing. It would be best if you did not start to build this level of the drone from expensive components unless your soldering skills has reached the level where you can make the connection nice and clean without excess solder marks or long uninsulated wires. And if you want to protect your drone from short circuits further, cover all the electronics with the conformal coating or the silicone and put the electrical tape under the components and wires. All those measures virtually eliminate the risk of any short circuit. Going back to the regulators, as you can see, they are pressed against the top by the bracket that provides secure fit. Secure fit. These brackets are 3D printed from nylon with the carbon fiber. Here we use a single press nut in the middle to secure the bracket on the plate. This mounting option is simple and compact, provides easy access and is straightforward to attach and remove, still leaving plenty of free space for cooling. So what's next? We paid particular attention to the wiring, and here what we came up. To connect the batteries, we installed two XT90M connectors. They are attached to the main board and will make it easier to connect and especially disconnect the battery plugs. The soldering points on the connectors are covered with a 3D printed cover, 3D printed case that protects against the dirt or some fluids or whatever. The wires from the connector so let me just install it. The wires from the connector go through the holes on the top with a diameter of the hole suitable for wires up to 8 gauge. Further, the wires in straight line approach the main distribution board, so in pairs, and the regulator bracket in this case is shaped to allow the wires to pass unobstructed between the bracket and the plates. There is plenty of space for 4 wires to go through. The battery connectors are set according to the position of the positive and negative contacts on the power distribution board. In this case, the wires go straight without the crossing, so it means that the closest plug goes to the first 2 connection pads, and the second one is installed opposite, and as well the positive and negative sides are in parallel and can be easily connected directly without crossing. The following connection is obvious and straightforward. So the short wires from the main distribution board go to each of the regulators. Connecting the outgoing wires to the motors requires attention, because they must be soldered at the right angles. But this should not cause any problems for experienced pilot. And the holes in the pads of the regulators make the job more manageable. In my experience, the 14 gauge wires fit perfectly. So, and you can easily just put it through the hole and solder it over with pretty easily. Next, let me attach this one to the position. So next, the wires go down and go into each pipe like that. Here in this location, the pilots have a choice to install banana connectors for motor wires. After passing through the pipe, the wires come out and go to the motor. Here the wires can be fixed to a vertically mounted spike. We tried to consider many different requirements when designing the placement of individual components, especially paying attention to the wiring, and we wanted to make it straight for routing, but simultaneously as protected and hidden as possible. And I sincerely wish to find positive feedback from the pilots on the results of our work. And now, since we stopped near the motors, it is time to pay attention to their mounts and the mounting of the beam. At the first glance, it isn't easy to come up with anything new here. Plates compress the round tubes on both sides, and There are printed nylon spacers for a better fit of the parts. So like this. But some pilots, as I know, have encountered the problem of turning around the run pipes even if all the screws are hardly tightened. And so we added the screws going through at both ends of the tubes. On these sides of the motors is one long bolt screw which simultaneously connects the pipe, the vertical plate, and I mean like a plate, spike, whatever you call it, and the motor plates. These bolts keep the motor plates from turning. And finishing the description of the construction at the end of the arms, I want to note that there are two motor mounting patterns on the plates. One is 90 mm diameter for the M3 bolts, and the second is a 30 mm for M4 bolts, or screws, let's call it. You may also notice that we have added small end caps here at the end of the tube that will protect the wires from scuffing when they come into the contact to the edge with the edge of the tube. On the opposite side, the pipe is secured against turning by two small bolts on each main plate. These bolts go through the plate like this, and they also go through the tube and the main plate. And inside of the pipe we have fixed the tiny 3D printed ring with two press nuts on the both sides to secure the screws. With this solution at the both ends of the arms, we secured that the beams would remain in the place even in the extreme modes and preventing the racing drum from crashing. And in the last part of the video, I want to draw your attention to the details of the canopy. As I mentioned earlier, the canopy is a multi-level and uses a combination of vertical and horizontal plates in its construction. That makes the structure solid and stiff, and as well it stands out from the frames of the other brands. On the main plate there are three stacks for installing electronics. All three are made to accept electronics with mounting holes 20 by 20 and 30.5 by 30.5 mm. The distance between the horizontal plates is 15 mm, which is enough to install the DJI unit, air unit, and Cadex Vista. They are best located at the back of the canopy, where there is a place for installing two transmitting antennas, and here we have also slots for additional ventilation. The best and proven way to mount the DJI air unit is to the fixed inside of this tiny 3D printed bracket and double-sided adhesive tape. The canopy can accommodate cameras up to 20 mm wide. Here we used inserts, 3D printed inserts for the camera. These inserts are also used on some of our other frames. They hold the camera and serve as vibration isolators. And finally, at the very top are standard mounts for the action camera and GPS module with the 18 mm wide antenna. These brackets are also crisscross FPV standard items and are found on other hour frames. That concludes my review of the X-Class drone racing frame, the Chief. I tried to cover all the essential details, and if I missed something or you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video in the comment sections. As well, let me know what kind of frame you want to see in my next video. So for now, that's all. Stay tuned and thanks for watching. And by the way, don't forget to hit the like button if you really like the video and subscribe if you don't want to miss my next video. Ciao!